Hello, everybody. Running a little late today, but I am here. um, all right, let's see what we can do with this. So, today we are going to talk about KDE Plasma 5.2.7, which is the latest release. And I've got this installed via KaOS, KaOS, which is the testing ground for new versions of KDE. And we'll jump right into this here real quick. Bring that up. Good afternoon, David. Welcome. All right, so let's pop me down in the corner. So this is the default KDE Plasma install. I have not done really anything other than do updates and play around with KDE Connect, which we'll talk about a little later. But I wanted to leave the changes until we got started. So the menu starts in the top right corner, which is something that we will change. But first, right click on the desktop. As with Windows and Mac OS and most other Linux, gets you the option to configure your display settings, which I've already set to 1440 by 900, as well as configuring the desktop and wallpaper. And one thing that I do want to point out is that compared to Windows and Mac OS, I have always been impressed with the sheer number of backgrounds that are included with KDE Plasma. You even get some interesting things, but there are a very large number of backgrounds, and there are more that you can get with plugins, which is something that honestly I wish Microsoft would make available in Windows and Apple would make available in Mac OS, because there are places that have free wallpapers that it'd be nice if there were facilities to allow for those plugins. So let me power off my phone just in case Mr. Joe shows up, because he claimed that there was some feedback from my cell phone. But in the menu next to the search, we've got a quick launch for launcher settings and different things you can customize there. That's the thing about KDE Plasma, is that, since the beginning of KDE, when I used it pre 1.0 in like 1998, 99, it just had a boatload of options that could be changed. And they have kept that throughout its development, which is rather nice. At least they're consistent with it, right? So, system settings. Okay, so I'm going to change that to the dark mode, which most people like these days. You've got, let's see, apply. Appearance, just all kinds of things. But if we change to, well, maybe we can just, nope, is that locked or, I'm not sure. It's been a hot minute since I've used KDE. Everything seems to want to go to GNOME. There's a little issue. No text on the buttons. It didn't quite do what I wanted. Alright, so we'll kill our eyes and we'll jump back to this. Let's see. Application style. Again, there's more options. Plasma style. You can do colors. Window decorations. So if you don't like the default up, down, and X, there are ways that you can get new Windows decorations. And just really customize the heck out of this, which can be fun if you've got nothing else in your life to do. I tend not to do a lot of customization anymore because consistency makes me faster. So you can even change the splash screen, which is kind of cool. So we'll apply that. Let's see. Window management. You could get lost in the number of options that are here. But before we dig too much deeper, let's see who else has shown up in chat. Hello, Ezra and Tony. Welcome. Let's see. All right. So, yeah, there are just an immense amount of options here. You can change your login screen. I don't know. Let's set it to that one just because. Let's see. And you can change the bootloader. So, I'm not sure why these are grayed out at the moment, but just all kinds of things. The thing I really want, let's see. Come on. No. Okay. So, of course, they've got to have their own crazy names for everything. What I really want to do is get this menu either on the bottom or the left-hand side, the taskbar. They call it taskbar. Task switcher. Display configuration, which we've seen. Oh, bugger. Yeah. So But let's see. Try. What's the name of that crazy thing that pops up at the beginning? See this one. So this is their launcher, their startup guide thingamajigger. I don't know even what they want to call it. But you can change your icon set, which is interesting. Midna is the default. Let's change it to the Midna Dark to give it something different. Font settings, virtual desktops, Windows decorations, plasma theme, which we've looked at, mouse behavior, scroll speed, faster. Let's see. Screen settings. I really want, let's see, wallpaper, switching NVIDIA, advanced. So I don't see what I'm looking for. Okay, well, somewhere there's a setting to move this taskbar. Enter edit mode. So, yeah. I done something there. Well, all right. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Hello, Catherine. Welcome. Come in and do search for users. We'll come in here. We'll add a new user. We'll call it test. And okay. And I'll make this one administrator user as well. And then let's log out and see. Color scheme isn't quite matching so well, but yeah. Okay, well, this is not doing what I want it to do. There's more than one way to get a default desktop. Okay, so we'll just create a new user when we want a default desktop. Show alternatives. Okay. Configure application launcher. Somewhere we've got to find a different way to get this down at the bottom of the screen. Actions. No, that's not what I want. Emblems. Places. Not it. Other. Okay, so we won't change that icon quite yet. Let's see. Application Launcher 2.0. Okay, system settings. Startup and shutdown. Search. Accessibility. Applications. Online accounts. User feedback. Okay. So, where they have hid this and what they even call it, I'm not entirely sure. So, let's do a little sleuthing. Launcher, system tray. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, not not the most obvious. Got task switcher, but no task bar. All I want to do is get this in a position other than the right-hand side of the screen. That's rather odd and annoying. So, hello, Hugo. Welcome, Jason. Glad everybody made it out today. So, what we're doing today is I'm fumbling around the KDE Plasma desktop, which quite obviously I haven't used in a while. Or they have moved settings and changed the names of things and otherwise made it difficult for somebody to come in and customize things. You used to be able to just take the taskbar and drag it and move it just like you can in Windows when you have it unlocked. Unfortunately, they seem to have done away with that. Plasma style. Decorations, icons, cursors, font management, splash screen. Workspace behavior. So, like I said, lots and lots of options. Desktop effects. Smart edges. Touchscreen gestures. Virtual desktop activities. That's not it. Window management. So, Alt Tab will switch between open applications, just like on Windows. Okay. It's not going to be in shortcuts. Startup and shutdown. Search. Not sure where they've stuck these settings. If anybody is a KDE Plasma user, I would welcome some input right about now. This is not really that intuitive after having used GNOME and macOS and Windows for a number of years. I do like, though, that they've actually got a game controller section in here for all the gamers out there. Display and monitor. That's not going to help. Removable storage. So I would think somewhere on here that there would be a way to unlock it and move it. And edit mode. Oh, there we go. You have to go into edit mode to do that. Well, okay. Add widgets. So Plasma has long had widgets. We've seen them come and go and come sort of back again with Windows. No paired devices. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a minute. So I don't know what else I want on here. We'll call that good. Okay, so we compare a device. This is KDE Connect. Oh, actually, we can't do that. I turned my phone off so there wouldn't be feedback. But basically, KDE Connect, and this is actually available on Windows and Mac OS as well, which I've been testing to varying degrees of success. But KDE Connect will allow you to pair with a phone, an Android phone typically, although they are working on support for iPhone. This will let you pair with a phone. You can transfer files and contacts and all that different kind of stuff without having to use some ultra proprietary single vendor application to accomplish the same thing. So this works across a number of Android phones currently. They are adding iPhone support, you do have to use a beta application. So there's something called Test Flight, I guess, on iOS that allows you to install their application. I'm not an iPhone guy, so you're on your own. But with the with the taskbar on the bottom, you know, it does look a little more Windows esque, you could say. Not exactly the same kind of menu that you get in Windows, but close enough that a Windows user should be able to sit down in front of this. And, if people bother to read what's on the screen, then, you can find under Internet, you can find Google Chrome, for instance. And doggone it, no, I don't want it to be my default. And we should be at the current version, 112. So, yeah, I mean, I should backtrack just a moment. One of the other things I installed was Chrome and Firefox. Neither one of them were installed by default. In this specific version of Linux, during the install process, they ask you to choose an Office suite or to choose to have no Office suite installed, depending on what you might want to use later on. I think they give you the choice of LibreOffice and Calligra. I think that's the name of it, which is the current name for what used to be KaOS. It's all the KDE Office applications. But this is version 7.5.0.3, so that's the latest version of KDE Plasma. So I've only ever dabbled with KaOS before. This has the 6.1 kernel. I think the kernel is up to 6.3, but 6.1 is a long-term support kernel, so that's good. So it is running on, I guess, some sort of an Arch base. And so it's got Pac-Man for the package manager. So Pac-Man-S is going to sync with the upstream. Yeah, I don't typically use this package manager. So if I were to continue using this longer term, I would have to pull up an article and take a look. Hugo, thank you. Pac-Man SSY. All right, so there we go. Thank you. So yeah, there's all kinds of things up here. Anyways, This is something that I would need to obviously spend a little time with. It's probably time that I expand my horizon beyond my comfort zone, beyond Debian based distributions, which is where I've been for, well, probably since 2006. I pretty much standardized on Debian based distributions. Um, you get solitaire included and different kinds of solitaire. But it's probably time that I play with some Arch based distributions in a little more depth. Um, just just to expand my knowledge base and hopefully be able to answer more questions that people have um, when they comment on my videos. So the file manager is what you'd expect. You've got your icon mode, you've got compact mode, and a tree mode. So I think I've got, no, not with this user. I've got nothing on here. So you can come in here and create a new folder and just, there you've got your tree view. And then you can go back. And if you wanted to, you could expand the tree right from the main view here. Now you can split the view, which is kind of nice. I do believe this also supports tabs. Like Mac OS, and Windows is slowly getting tabs. But you know, one of the reasons that I keep coming back to Linux after using anything else is that, you know, for 20 years I've had tabs in my file browser. I've had multiple desktops by default. You know, there are a lot of things that I got used to that just did not exist at the time on Windows and Mac OS. And some of the things have come to Windows, some of the things have come to Mac OS. There are things that both of them don't have, but you know, it's just kind of a nice thing to see those things coming to other platforms. We've got a few, but not all of my NAS boxes showing up on my network. Could not connect to host. I'm surprised it doesn't provide you a way to do that easily. Let's go to network. Shared folders. But I'm sure if I spend some more time with this, then some of my muscle memory that I had with previous experiences with KDE Plasma will come back. But this is right now feeling a little foreign to me. So I have tried Deepin, and I've used the Deepin desktop. I think the Ubuntu, was it Ubuntu DDE spin? I don't think it's an official one, but yeah, it's pretty slick. Yes, Dolphin is pretty cool. I've always viewed Dolphin as one of the highlights of Linux that gets a lot of new features before even the commercial platforms. And yeah, it was definitely a welcome upgrade after the file manager that existed in earlier versions of KDE, which was somewhat clunky in comparison. The one thing that I do miss in Dolphin is that they don't have, at least by default, they don't have a column view like the Finder on Mac, which I've gotten used to using the column view, and it works well for me. But I've also gone to using. Of course, there's an update. Remind me later. Dual pane file managers. Just because there are things where Finder on Mac OS and Windows Explorer or whatever they're calling their file manager these days because they keep switching the name. They both feel clunky at times, and a dual pane file manager gets things done. Speaking of, let's close that, and I wonder if the nerve. No Midnight Commander on this one. Usually on Debian distributions, Midnight Commander is installed by default. So, yeah. It's been a while. It's probably been 5 years ish since I've spent any real time with KDE Plasma, but I've heard a lot of hype around this newest version, and so I really wanted to check it out. And so, since I had no other great ideas for a topic for today, I thought, okay, well, let's look at Plasma and see how that has changed over the years. You still get a notification down here similar to in Windows. I do like their little clipboard application. You can actually use, they have a graphical representation of the clipboard so you can copy things in different ways. Excuse me. Which, on other systems, it's an add-on. Disks and devices for removable devices. Very, very complete system. Just some of the namings on some of this stuff just is a little bizarre. At least they moved away from naming everything with a K. It used to be K mail and K win and K this and K that and the other. Okay, so let's Hugo, you're my hero today. No, what did I do wrong? Emulate Norton. Why not? SS space MC. No. Okay. For some reason, not liking me. I see right there. It says app/MC. I have to do. No. Well, let's see. Deepin is cool. The interface for Windows managers very worked for the creators. Yeah. I think the Deepin desktop is that's not exactly what I wanted. So we got Deepin. So, in case anybody's interested in this, drop this in chat. Yeah, the big issue most people have with this is I believe it's a Chinese company. If you weren't tipped off here, that develops Deepin Linux. Oops. Come over the correct screen. But there is Ubuntu Deepin desktop environment, which blocked because of ad blocker. I don't have an ad blocker unless there's something built in. Yeah, so where, let's see, that's all torrents. Okay. Official release, mega download. It's not really gonna work. FOSS host mirror. Okay, that'll work. So if we copy the link, come back here, download from URL, and that'll only take a couple minutes. It should only take a couple minutes. Well, we'll pop back in a moment or three. And yeah, so hopefully that's doing something. All right. Let's see. I found with Deepin Linux everything worked so well. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little skittish around stuff that is of Chinese origin, and I guess I trust Canonical more than I trust an organization that may or may not have ties to the Chinese government. So, but yeah, the Ubuntu, the Debian, or the Deepin desktop on Ubuntu has impressed me before. Just the way they've tweaked a lot of things and just made it. It looks great and it's easy to use. So you know, I like the direction they're going with it overall. Okay, that's finally actually downloading. So not very fast given the speed of my um, speed of the network or the internet connection. So let's just stop that. We'll do that another way. But yeah, so it's just dash S. So there's our beautiful Midnight Commander. So yeah, I've used this for so many years on and off that it's just function F10. Just one of those things that I just kind of rely on to be there. And I know I got Tony hooked up with Midnight Commander, so that's great. I've made it one convert. So what else? Yeah, I did want to bump over here for just a moment. I think this tab. So the other day I put up this poll. And I didn't go overboard with context. I admit that. But the reason that I asked this question is because even on Windows, I see people using a lot of open source these days. And the version numbers in a lot of open source software don't have the same meaning or cycle or cadence or however you want to describe it as commercial software. And so for me, you know, of course, there's another difference here as well that's worth pointing out. So a lot of Linux software, Linux graphical software, is a graphical wrapper around an existing command line utility or multiple command line utilities, as the case might be. And so you might have a low version number on the graphical implementation, like a sub 1.0 version for the graphical component, and the command line utility may have been around for 30 years or more, depending. And so that's why I wondered, you know, do version numbers really matter to people? Because you know, there is less consistency these days, and especially when you compare and contrast commercial software versus free open source software. there's very little consistency on how version numbers are done. And even within a project, Firefox is a good example. You've seen their cadence for version numbers change to mimic what's happening with Chrome. Because Chrome is released every, I don't know, however many days or weeks, and they were jumping to higher version numbers than what Firefox had, even though Firefox predates Chrome. And you know, and Chrome is a whole ball of interesting stuff upon itself. So you really have to go back to, again, KDE, um, in this little history lesson, I suppose, impromptu history lesson. So KDE, the organization, developed something called KHTML, which was their HTML rendering engine. And Apple took that and added onto it and made WebKit. And Safari is based on WebKit. And then Google took WebKit, again, because it's open source software, and based Chrome on that. And then they modified WebKit to make Blink. At least I'm pretty sure it's a modification of WebKit. So Google didn't want to be reliant on Apple for obvious reasons. And so Blink is now the basis of Chrome, the underlying rendering engine. And Internet Explorer, or Microsoft Edge for that matter, is also based on the Chromium project, so it's using the same rendering engine as Chrome, which, you know, if you follow it all the way back, it goes back to the KDE organization. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that such major products out there are based on open source components, and a lot of people don't know it. And you know, this isn't the only example. A lot of people, a lot of developers use different JavaScript components that are open source, and then they get their knickers all in a twist when there's a bug, and you know, they're using these components for free and they're not giving anything back, and then they want the developers to drop everything in their day-to-day life and fix these issues, so their security problems are tackled to some extent. It's a blessing and a curse, I suppose, or a double-edged sword, or I don't know how you want to put it, but it's interesting for sure. So that was the idea behind the poll that I put up. So I just wanted to kind of give some additional context for why I put that specific poll up. So, oh, let's see. All right, we are about 5.5 minutes from getting to one Joe unit in length, and I don't see Joe today, so that's all right. So, I guess I'm sort of at a crossroads, so to speak, with the channel. I've been trying out different ideas for how and when to release videos. Let me see if I can find the document I had open. Yeah, that one. So my current plan, and this may get adjusted, but at least for the remainder of the first quarter of 2023, and then I'll probably reevaluate mid March and see how it's going. I'm going to continue midweek news on Wednesdays. I'm going to continue the live stream on Sundays. I like this new time. It seems to work out pretty well for most of the regulars. And I'm looking at Friday being the day that I release a more full-length recorded video. So you'll have something from me Wednesday, Friday, Sunday going forward. Yes, I'm aware I didn't get something out this past Friday. I had kind of a crazy work week, which I'm sure people can relate to. And so I worked 6 days in a row through yesterday. And so next week I've got some extra time off. And so what I'm looking to do is use that time to get some additional videos recorded and scheduled out a little bit in advance, and hopefully continue to be able to do these in advance. And then if I get ahead enough where I'm comfortable, then I might start adding a surprise video in on another day during the week. No promises on that in the short term, but that's what do they call it in fundraising? A stretch goal. It's a stretch goal to be able to do that. But I've been racking my brain with the statistics, the back end of YouTube. It seems like people are watching the videos where I cover different Linux distributions. They're watching a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that I'll start doing a few more of those, and maybe that'll be an every other week thing on Fridays, and then, you know, sprinkle in some different things that might be a little techier on the opposite Fridays. So people are getting a more of a variety of things. I also want to, and I've started outlining some things to work on going forward. I'm hoping to take and talk about, you know, and do a deeper dive into, you know, okay, these are the KDE applications that come by default, you know, talk about the software store in most KDE distributions, and, you know, I don't know if I'll do Kubuntu for that, or if I'll move to something else. But do it in such a fashion where I'm not necessarily focusing on a single distribution version, but more on the desktop and the default applications that come with it, so people can, you know, jump into it and get up to speed a little quicker. Have a good day, Hugo. Um, Midweek news is great stuff. Thank you, Tony. I'm the stats aren't quite there yet. It's kind of a moving target, I guess you could call it. Let's do this. So I'll have one week that does really well for midweek news, and then the next week will, from just the numbers, it'll relatively be a flop. But my my reason for continuing to make these is because I get good feedback from you guys, from the regulars in the live stream on Sundays, but they're also just quick and fun to make. And that's why you don't see me in them, and that's one of the things that keeps them quicker to make. Little on the edit side, just to get a little bit of transition effects put in and ship it. In my days doing QA and saw a little bit of software development, I've been told over and over again that perfect is the enemy of done, or perfect is the enemy of good enough. And so, I am kind of taking that approach to the midweek news videos, and trying to just keep that momentum going when creating them. So hopefully, as we continue through, so what the next one is going to be, lucky number 13, episode 13. So I figure by the time we get to episode 50, maybe it will pick up a little bit of steam, as a video. So I try not to get caught up in the video stats. I have videos that do well, but then I'll lose a subscriber or two from that video. Videos that don't do so sometimes gain subs. So go figure. Yeah, that's the big thing. So I've stopped caring as much about the number of views, and I've been watching more the view duration and subscriber count, but even that I'm not paying as much attention to. I used to have a habit, and I've broken the habit now, of recording the number of views into a spreadsheet every Sunday before I went live. And, it was just, I think for 2 years I did that. From the time I monetized. And, I don't feel that I've really got the background in analysis enough to warrant spending the time doing that anymore. It was a good tool for seeing, okay, this video has had 0 views for 3 months, and so those were the videos that I started hiding or taking private. But I for the most part, I have broken my habit of paying a lot of attention to the stats. I'm just more working on my ability to be consistent at this point. And so, Wednesdays and Sundays has been the consistent part for 12 weeks. And with, I think, one exception around Christmas or New Year's or something, where I didn't do a live stream. But usually I'm here like clockwork. So all right, we've made it past the one Joe unit of length for the video. At this point, I want to open it up and see if there are any questions or requests for videos or anything of that nature. I have done, I think, what I wanted to do with KDE Plasma for today, because there are a few pieces that I'm just going to have to sit and play with it before I'm going to feel comfortable doing another video. And I don't know what I did with this. Did something with some sort of touch screen setting or something, but anyways, yeah, I must have done some sort of touch screen something or another with this. But yeah, I mean, this is gonna be one of those things. We'll see. I may just spin up VMs for each of the different Ubuntu spins, and deep dive into the applications and different things that come with those. Just not worrying so much about version numbers, hoping for a more evergreen video with these. And then, every couple of years I will update them. But yeah. So we'll see what we can do with this. Okay, remove that. So that's good. But yeah, I think some of the other KDE base distributions have some different defaults, and that might be part of what's tripping me up right now with this. But I'll probably do Ubuntu with GNOME, LXQT, XFCE, and then do Pop! OS, because they're switching from GNOME to Cosmic as their desktop. And, just kind of deep dive into some of these and see what we can do for covering some of the basics, and hopefully make it accessible to an expanded audience. So anyways, that's that. Oh, Chris, you're back. Welcome. I added an AdGuard VM to my home. Kind of nice. More controls than just using OpenDNS. All right. I I think I've played with AdGuard once. I've been wanting to jump back into that again, just to continue down the rabbit hole and see where it's different from Pi-hole, which I've used quite a bit over the last several years. It's always nice to force yourself out of a comfort zone and see something different. All right. Any other special projects anybody's working on? Questions, comments? We might wrap this up in the next 5 to 10 minutes if people don't have anything else. So just for the sake of argument, the video that I'm planning for next Friday is likely to cover Parrot Linux. I'll probably specifically look at Parrot Security Edition, which, as you might be able to guess, is an alternative to Kali or Backbox or any of a number of those guys that are out there, and it's one of those things. It's I never use every tool that's included in one of those distributions, but it's nice knowing that they're there. I normally use these from a VM to begin with, so that is not really any different in this case. Whether I use it in Proxmox or I use it in VirtualBox on a laptop is not really going to matter a lot to me. It's nice to keep a little bit of tabs on these different security related distributions, as a way to discover new utilities for testing security, and to see what they're doing with their desktop environments. Some of them have gone to a menu structure that I'm not really fond of. So it's nice to know which ones I can sort of rely on if I need to grab one in a pinch and use it for some sort of testing. If it's something simple like just network scanning, I'll just install Nmap pretty much anywhere. It's a universal network scanner, and I've got that installed on Linux, Mac OS, Windows. You name it, you can pretty much run Nmap on it, other than mobile. And who knows, that may come one day as well. But yeah, there are some interesting tools out there. Most of my concern is around network scanning, and I don't really, unless it's a lab experiment, I don't really do much with the Red Hat or Red Team type tools. So yeah, let's see. Spun up a small Sparky VM and had AdGuard running in about 10 minutes. Really nice controls. Interesting. Been using a VM of Linux running ThinLink as a jump box for work. Has better feel than XRDP. Okay, I've seen ThinLink before. I don't think I've done a video on it. ThinLink remote desktop. Interesting. And last blog update was in December. I'll have to check this out. I'll have to check this out. Access your Linux remote desktop from Linux, Mac OS, Windows, and from the browser. So, yeah, I guess my biggest question would be, um, does it work with Wayland? That seems to be the Achilles heel of all of these different remote desktop solutions on Linux at the moment, is since most of the distributions are starting to switch from X11 to Wayland, they're having some growing pains. So like I've used Splashtop for years, and I think 10 years now to be specific, as of getting billed for it in January. And it's always worked well on all three platforms, but with Wayland coming into play more lately, I've been looking for different solutions. So, no idea about Wayland. I'm not liking Wayland much anymore since many programs like Flameshot do not work well with it. Yep. That's the other thing. Screenshot utilities and utilities that record the desktop are hit and miss at best. I like the idea of Wayland, but I think it's going to be another handful of years before all the remote desktop utilities, screen recording utilities, different things of that nature are going to be completely compatible with it. I know for a while there, even OBS was not friendly with Wayland. So hopefully they will start getting these things ironed out and ready to move forward. And yeah, I mean it's just one of those things. The unpredictable side of the Linux experience, shall we say? But on that note, I've seen a few people drop off. We're down to I think 4 people watching, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up at this point. Next video out will be midweek news on Wednesday. So thank you everybody for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It's somewhere in the mid 40s here in Michigan, so I may go outside and do a couple things in the garage. I picked up some LED garage lights that have sort of a hub and spoke look to them, and I want to get at least one of those put in out in the garage today. So on that note, thank you all for watching. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.